Hello everyone, this is Z. This video is designed for the students of University of Leeds who would like to use Illustrator to create lay plan. In this presentation, I'd like to talk about what lay plan is, why it is important, and the process of today's demonstration. And I'm going to show you how you can produce lay plan using Illustrator little by little. So what is lay plan? Lay plan is an in-scale visual representation of how your pattern pieces should be positioned on the fabric. Lay plan is very important because it could help you avoid fabric wastage, and it can help you save time and money on production, and you can also make sure your fabric pieces line up accurately. So there are two common methods in creating lay plan. Firstly, using apparel CAD such as Garber, Lectra, Optitex. These companies provide a software which could generate garment patterns. Also, this software provides a function to automatically produce lay plan for you. And it can quickly and accurately create your lay plan and calculate efficiency and wastage for you. And secondly, laying fabric and placing pattern pieces manually. This method is often used by small businesses and students who conduct a small project or individual projects. However, this method sometimes looks less professional. So for those students who would like to present lay plan in a professional manner but don't have access to the Apparel CAD, I'd like to introduce an alternative method using Illustrator. You can use other graphic CAD such as Photoshop and others. However, I found using Illustrator is easier because it's vector-based software. And here is the process of this method. Firstly, you need to take a photo of your garment patterns. And then secondly, you need to adjust the scale of your photographs. And then thirdly, you are going to trace the shape of the garment pattern pieces. Then fourthly, we are going to add notches, and fifthly, we are going to align patterns based on the grain line. Then finally, we are going to move on to the lay plan. Before we start, I'd like to give you some advice. Firstly, when taking a photo, preparing appropriate background is important. Make sure your background surface is clear. And if possible, try to use the background color, which is darker. Probably the color of your garment pattern pieces is white in many cases. If the contrast between your paper patterns and background color is not high enough, tracing can be trickier. So try to use darker surfaces. And if you have a wide grid surfaces such as cutting mat, using grid is really a good idea. However, I don't think many people have large cutting mat or grid surfaces. But if you have, it will help you to position your pattern pieces based on grain line more easily, and you can easily avoid distortion of your photos as well. Next, angle. When taking photo, make sure your photo should be taken at the front. So first image is taken at the front, so you can see it look quite accurate. However, second photograph is taken with some perspective. So the shape of the pattern pieces won't be accurate. To avoid this kind of error, I tend to use a reference shape. So if you look at the first picture, you can see there is a square shape. I have included this shape. This is not part of the garment pattern pieces. However, I use this square shape to avoid distortion when taking photo. So if your photo presents a perfect square, it will tell you your photo is most likely taken at the front with no distortion or very small distortion. However, if you look at the square shape in the second photograph, it doesn't look like a square, but it looks like a parallelogram. And next, scale. Checking scale is very important, and if you use a reference shape, which is the square in my case, checking scale is relatively easy. The size of my square is 10 by 10 centimeter. So when you create a diagram, you can calculate the ratio of your original pattern to the diagram. In this video, the ratio of original pattern to the diagram is 5:1, which means my diagram is 20% of original size. And in your case, the dimension of your reference can be different, or your diagram may be drawn with different scale. So please make sure to check the ratio of your patterns to diagrams and apply it to your lay plan correctly. And then next, fabric with pattern or prints. And if you are using fabric with some patterns or prints, you need to pay some extra attention. For instance, here is a fabric with check pattern. And to save the material, you may position corresponding patterns here and there. So this is the left bodice and right bodice patterns of the shirts. And if these pattern pieces are cut like this, when those pieces are assembled through the center front, actually this is going to be the man's shirt, so there won't be a seam line but a fastening anyhow. When the garments are fastened through the buttons, the pattern on the left and the right won't match, like this example. So if you are using pattern or print fabric, make sure to position your pattern pieces carefully with extra attentions. Because of this reason, positioning can be trickier and it will most likely consume more material. And here is second example. Sometimes your pattern or prints has upside. This is the pattern with the cherries, and you can see upside and downside. And to save the material, sometimes you may rotate or flip patterns. So the first pattern is the back bodice, and the second pattern is yoke, and the yoke is flipped. So when these pattern pieces are cut and sewn together, you can see the patterns of this fabric won't match because of flipping. So please pay more attention when using fabric with pattern or prints. Lastly, I'd like to highlight the efficiency. So as I said, saving material is very important. But unfortunately, if you are using Illustrator, calculating efficiency and fabric wastage is very difficult. So here is some kind of visual guidance. This is Lay Plan by Aldrich. And if you look at the title of the image, it says a lay plan with 84% of efficiency. So I think this image may give you some idea how much material you can save if the plan look like this. And in the industry, the efficiency probably needs to be higher than 80%. Sometimes your company might ask you to achieve 90% or even higher. So saving material is very important. So when you're positioning your pattern pieces, try to save material as much as possible. And in this video, I'm going to show you a lay plan with folded fabric and lay plan with unfolded fabric. And if you create lay plan with folded fabric, creating a paired fabric pieces are relatively easy, but this method most likely consumes more material because the area for the positioning patterns is limited. In the case of industry often create lay plan with unfolded fabric. And patterns of different sizes of garments are positioned and represented like the second example because it could save more materials. And to avoid confusion, different sizes are represented in different colors. So I would like you to be aware of that. There are different methods and each method have different advantages. And in this videos, I'm going to create a lay plan with garment patterns with one size. So I'm not going to use different colors, but if you are if you're producing more than one sizes, using different color can be a good idea. Thank you.